You all are here because you have an interest in e-commerce. Maybe you're currently selling products online. Maybe you're looking to sell products online. What you're really looking for is a way to make your shopping experience, the shopping experience you provide, to make that stand out, to be different than the cookie cutter storefronts that are out there, and to really provide your shoppers with the best experience possible. Alternatively, you might be interested in what is headless. What does that term mean? How can a system not have a head? We're going to answer both of those questions today and introduce you to Buy with Prime and headless e-commerce. My name is Tom. This is Steven. Let's jump in. So this is an introductory level course. That means there's not going to be any code. We're not going to be diving deep into architectures or anything like that. What we are going to go through is we're going to quickly cover a timeline of e-commerce to set the stage for how we got to where we're at today. We'll talk about what headless is, what a headless system is and how it operates. Then we'll compare that with the e-commerce platforms that currently exist today. We'll talk about why you should be using headless and the advantages it provides over current systems. And then finally, we'll introduce you to Buy with Prime, which is a new offering from Amazon to really help take your storefronts to the next level. And then lastly, we really want to paint a picture of the future of what e-commerce can look like tomorrow with this headless API-first structure.
So like Tom mentioned, we're going to jump into a timeline. Don't worry, there won't be a quiz. We're just going to level set, make sure everyone's on the same page as we look forward into the future. So let's start with the early days. So in the early days, in the 1960s to 1980s, again, don't worry about the years, there were a lot of companies that were playing around with the edge of technologies, right? Like there was actually a company that allowed for people or businesses to buy things through old school TVs. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it's really fascinating stuff. Also, around in like 1980, there was a company called Boston Computer Exchange where people could go online and sell or buy used computers. And so these early days were very small, kind of some enthusiast use cases, but it started a snowball that would eventually become the avalanche that is e-commerce today that affects all of our lives. So as we kind of move forward a little bit, a lot of these younger edge technologies created eventually the dot-com boom or the dot-com bubble. There's a lot of terms for it. Again, not scientific. We're all just going to be on the same page. We're OK. So in the dot-com boom, these companies, instead of being a small enthusiast movement, became more of a wide-scale mass market thing. During this era, there were a lot of companies that were started. Some of them did not survive, but others are still giants today. Amazon started during this time period, Priceline, eBay, a company that would eventually become PayPal. They were all started during this time period with the promise of, I can provide you a good or a service online, and that can be actually a better experience than potentially buying it in a store. And what does that look like? And there was a lot of, again, kind of that maturation of those edge technologies, kind of making it the next step. Again, unfortunately, there were a lot of companies that did not survive this time period, but the ones that did really went on to shape our lives today and the future. So as we look into kind of the next period, we have a 5-year gap where I call this an enhanced experiences. You can think of this as, again, another stage where the experience of buying things online became even better. So during this time period, PayPal became officially associated with eBay as a way to buy and sell online. And what that did was gave merchants confidence that they were able to actually get their money from their customers, and customers were able to confidently buy online and know that their credentials or their credit card information was not going to be used to buy things elsewhere. So that really created kind of this level of trust that was not present previously, and that ultimately simulated that same interaction that you would get in person in a store. And also during this time, Amazon Prime was started that created fast free shipping that we all know and love. Also, Amazon launched their seller program so more people could sell products online. And it just created, overall, throughout the industry, there was a lot of companies, a lot of things that happened that created this next stage of, I have a really good experience of buying things online. So with these enhanced experiences, with consumer confidence growing, during the next time period is what I'm referring to as the age of e-commerce service providers. Now you might be saying, Steven, I don't know what e-commerce service providers are. Great, you're in the right place. These are companies that are looking to provide a simple as possible solution for you to sell anything online. So you've probably heard of a lot of these companies. Maybe you even have your own storefronts. We're talking Shopify, Wix, WooCommerce, Magento or Adobe Commerce. Lots of these companies are focused on how can we provide the best, easiest, potentially one-click experience to being able to sell products online. And this time period between 2006 and 2010 saw the introduction of these companies that really, again, are still around today and are still widely used today. And it's focused on how can we make the merchant experience of selling online as easy as possible. Now, with this kind of experience maturation, merchants had a better experience selling online. Between 2010 and 2022, yes, I'm painting with a broad brush. It's okay. Not a quiz. With this experience, we were able to see only faster growing of that small snowball into the avalanche. Mobile devices became common. Everyone would actually know someone or actually have their own device and be able to make purchases online. And I'm sure maybe some of you are even shopping today while I'm talking. That's okay. I understand, right? I'm in e-commerce. I understand. But during this time period, it became so common that many people would actually shop first on e-commerce before they would go into the store. And that represents a fundamental shift in the way that we buy and sell things online. So that leads us to this year. So earlier this year, Amazon launched Buy with Prime in April of 2022, and we're really excited to talk to you about what that offering is today, and then also what it's going to offer in the future.
Before we can introduce you to Buy with Prime, we need to address what is headless, as that's going to kind of set the stage for what Buy with Prime really is. So what is headless? To answer the question, I'm going to provide a brief example using some resources y'all might be familiar with. So we're going to take a look at a few AWS resources here, couple simple ones that we might use to build a static website. So we have an S3 bucket to store some content, some files, an application layer running on Lambda, and a database, DynamoDB, to store metadata and information about our website. Now, this set of resources can be accessed in a number of different ways. For instance, if we've built a site or a store, our customers would interact with the store, whether it be through a web browser or through a mobile application. Either way they do it, they're accessing the same set of resources in the back end. As developers or as builders, we access it in a completely different way, whether it's through the CLI, through the AWS Management Console, or other third-party tools. These ways of accessing the resources, these interfaces, in a headless system, these are what we refer to as the heads. The body then is composed of these individual resources. And so a headless system is one where customer touch points, the heads, the web browser, the mobile app, AWS console, are logically separated from a set of back-end resources, our AWS services here. So S3, the tool that many of you have probably used, is itself a headless service. S3 is great for hosting static content. You can put pictures in there, you can put files, you can do whatever you want. You can put your shopping list in S3. S3 doesn't care. It also doesn't care how you interact with it, whether you present that through a website, whether you're logging into the console to get your shopping list every day. It's unopinionated. It's completely separated from that presentation layer or customer touch point. And so to give an overall definition of a headless system is a system where customer touch points, the head, are separated from back-end services, the body.
So now that we have this kind of idea of what headless is, right? We understand what this buzzword means. We've looked at where the timeline is. Let's look at and combine how e-commerce and headless come together. So specifically to do that, I'm going to start a store, or we're going to all collectively start a direct-to-consumer store, or DTC site. And if you haven't noticed, Tom and I really like socks. We enjoy socks. We're going to sell socks online. Now, we were going to call it Tom Socks, but that conflicts with another known shoe company, and they happen to sell socks. So we're going to start Steve Socks. With Steve's socks, collectively, right, we're all starting this together, we care about 3 things. So first, we care about our product catalog. So Tom has a cat. His cat needs cat socks. We're going to sell cat socks as part of our product catalog. We're going to sell human socks as well. We're going to sell, let's say, thousands of SKUs, thousands of items, right? We need a robust catalog. And we don't just need a good way to store it. We also need a way to access that quickly so that when our customer clicks on the page to say, I want cat socks, it needs to show very quickly, right? We want a fast experience because we know that slow experiences means lost dollars. We don't like that as sellers. The next thing that we need is a really great storefront, kind of leading from product catalog into a storefront. We know our customers, the sock-loving customers that they are, they love websites. They do not like mobile apps, right? We do not need a mobile app. We want a website where they can come in, buy socks, and get out, get their orders, and have it be look and feel as special as our socks actually are. So we need a really robust storefront, again, that loads quickly because time is money in e-commerce transactions. Finally, we need a way to quickly manage orders, and this includes the data management behind orders so that we know what our inventory levels are, how quickly that we have, how quickly we can refund or cancel orders. We need a way to be able to manage these thousands of orders that we know we're going to sell thousands of socks, right? We know we're going to be successful, and we need a good order platform to do that. So remember how I mentioned e-commerce service providers? Let's look at what we would do as a merchant, maybe what you all have done in your own companies, whether that's enterprise or potentially as a merchant scale, if we were to use something like an e-commerce service provider. So with one click, we could potentially go online, register, fill out some information about our business, and get a variety of services right off the bat. Now, if you look at this, you'll see we have our orders system, we have some content management stuff, we have a way to manage our sock catalog, which is all great. But you also notice, right, we had 3 things that our company cared about, and we only cared about 3 things. You'll notice that here we have a mobile app or a mobile UI that's included as well, and we're still kind of paying for that, right? Because we're trapped into this boundary or the ecosystem that the e-commerce service provider provides. So we're paying this fee for things that our company doesn't necessarily care about. What we get in return is really fast to market and really quickly able to get our storefront in front of consumers. So there are some trade-offs with e-commerce service providers. And now I believe most of us here are technical, right? We're interested in the cloud. How can we use cloud technologies or headless architectures to make things a little bit faster?
So let's take a look at this same store and how we would build it using a headless model. So first, in a headless model, we are not bound by the e-commerce platform. We're not buying that whole block. So let's remove the boundary. This allows us to really break apart these services and take a look at them on an individual level. So we can break them up, and now we can identify the things that are really important to us and choose a criteria and really hone in on what we need and what works for us. For example, let's look at content management. So here we can choose what's important to us as an organization. We know we need content management, a way to store data about our products, about our services, and a way to display that to our users. There are a host of content management service providers or CMS providers that we can choose from, and we can rank them based off of our needs. Maybe cost is the most important factor to us, so we go with something open source. Maybe we want something broadly known, easy to use, and we pick whatever works for us. With headless, we choose what fits our needs, and so we're going to go find our own CMS provider that fits us perfectly. We're in control. That's one of the big benefits of headless, is we have total ownership of what this system will eventually look like. Next, we talked about it, we need an order dashboard. We know we need that dashboard, but as we've gone along the path, we've also learned, hey, we would like the ability to predict demand. We have a hypothesis that we sell woolen socks during the winter and the no-shows during the summer, and cat socks are completely trying to figure out that scale there. So we need more than what was provided. So we go and we can shop and find our own analytics dashboard. AWS just announced supply chain yesterday, another tool that we can go find and grab that for ourselves. So for our example, we go find an analytics platform that plays well with a different order dashboard, and we're able to knit those together in a way that suits us. Awesome, so we're feeling good about our data capabilities. The last thing that we said we needed was a storefront. We need a UI. Now, again, it's 2022. No one is downloading an app to buy socks. So we're going to hop onto the responsive UI bandwagon and build for mobile and web all at the same time. And we're going to build a responsive UI. And we're at the freedom to do that however we want. If we have some great devs, we want to build something in React, we can do that. If not, there are a host of other providers that will give you that front end. And so we're going to go build our own that works well with what we've already got and combine it into one responsive UI. Awesome. Remember, we're free here. We're choosing our own destiny. Things are starting to look pretty good. So let's take a look at the overall picture. You can see we've already started to make a lot of changes here. Now, I'm not going to go through every single instance here, but just know for our whole system, we would prioritize and create a criteria of what works for us. And we would go out and pick and choose from a host of different providers to piece together the perfect e-commerce system. At the end of the day, we end up somewhere completely different than where we started. We were able to craft a system that is as unique as our hypothetical socks and hypothetical store. So headless has given us the power to create something cool, unique, something that stands out, different than all of the cookie cutter stores that exist on the web today.
So let's look at we talked about the contrast between ESPs, headless. Let's look at specifically why you might want to use headless architectures in your applications. Because there is a trade-off, and it's important to understand the benefits of doing so. So first is headless architectures are highly flexible. So as we mentioned, we started our store. We did not know that we needed an analytics platform, right? We didn't know that we cared about when cat socks sell. We didn't figure that out until we were halfway through the migration or the build, let's say. With headless architectures, we can find a provider and introduce that with API-first capabilities in ways that would not be it would not be possible if you started with a single design and kept that in kind of a waterfall fashion throughout the entire project. So headless architectures allow you to be really flexible as things change. If a provider of a headless service that you're integrated with suddenly changes their terms or their pricing capabilities, it should be really easy to switch over to a different provider using their APIs. So headless architectures allows your enterprise, your store, to be incredibly flexible and nimble to adapt to the changing landscapes that will be coming forward. Next it's fast. Now, when I say fast, I don't necessarily mean if you use headless, you will move 10 times faster every time. Unfortunately, I can't promise you that. I would love to. However, what I will say is that it allows you to control your own destiny. So if you're using a headless architecture, the conversation of, should I build this in-house, or should I go out to the market and find some place to build, becomes a really easy one that you are completely enabled to answer. So if I find, hey, I can move faster if I use this third-party software that provides these APIs, great, you can do that. And that's all because of that headless architecture that allows you to do that. Next is it's highly extensible. So like in our simple architecture example that Tom shared earlier, if we wanted to provide a different touch point or a different experience other than our web client, we might be able to spin up a bit of foreshadowing here, but we might be able to spin up a VR experience using our same APIs, our same systems, as long as we can call those APIs from anywhere and any touch point that we can imagine. So it's highly extensible from a touch point perspective and like a user experience perspective, but it's also extensible if after we're done building our stuff, we want to add a new feature. Let's say we want to add really fast fulfillment that we don't care about. We can do that using headless architectures and headless services after the fact in a much easier way. So it's highly extensible to compose our architectures in the way that makes sense for our business. And finally, headless architectures are cost efficient. So notice I didn't say cheap. Again, I can't tell you that headless architectures will be cheaper, but I will say that you own your own destiny here. So let's say as a company, I care about fulfillment. I can choose to spend my money to deploy the capital that I've been allocated to provide that quick fulfillment, or I can make I can make trade-offs to provide a different service instead. So really, you're able to choose where are you spending your dollars, what kind of experience you're providing to shoppers, and then you're able to adapt as you move forward. So let's say a provider, again, changes the cost on you. Maybe they go higher, maybe they go lower, and you really like them, so you stay. But maybe it goes higher, and you can then shop around in the market to find an adequate replacement. And that is all kind of like the overarching theme here is that you own your destiny, you own your system, and you can create whatever makes sense for you, your business, and what you value.
All right, deep breath. That was a large build-up to finally talk about Buy with Prime. So we're going to dive into the weeds of what Buy with Prime is and how it, as a headless service, can help you take your storefronts to another level and provide even more value for your customers. So, Buy with Prime, at its core, enables you to extend Prime benefits from Amazon.com to your own store. So it's not Amazon, it is your storefront, but you're able to provide the Prime benefits that customers know and love. Fast free shipping, free returns, our entire fulfillment network. But it's your data, you're in control of it, and you get to provide that on your storefront. So let's go back to the timeline. Like I said, Buy with Prime was announced this year in April. In today's current formatting, it exists as a simple button that sellers can add to their storefronts. So, next slide, there we go. First, users are able to design the look of their button, the look and feel of their button. Then they simply install a quick snippet of JavaScript onto their website. And shoppers are instantly able to create Buy with Prime orders. In the future, as we look ahead, we're going to talk about what's next and where Buy with Prime is going. In the future, Buy with Prime is going to launch a series of headless APIs. These APIs are going to enable sellers, developers, to build creative, custom shopping experiences, checkout experiences, through any channel anybody can think of. Any entrepreneur can enable these Prime experiences for anyone. You're able to choose your technology stack, choose what matters to you, and piece together any of these other headless services and include Buy with Prime with that to provide the power of Amazon through your own DTC.
So let's drill into that just a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more specific, but not too specific. We'll get into that in a minute. So Buy with Prime will launch and is currently evaluating what APIs make sense to drive this innovation into your businesses. So it will include a suite of APIs. That API list has not been finalized as we kind of evaluate things. You all are some of the first to be able to hear about this today, so you're considered lucky, I think. You also will have a chance to sign up for an interest list at the end, so please look out for that. But know that these APIs will be focused on enabling your business in every way that we've been talking about. Flexibility, extensibility, speed, cost management. Those things that you can control, Amazon with Buy with Prime is looking to provide to any merchant, whether they're small and they maybe have their own little sock store, or a large enterprise customer. Amazon with Buy with Prime is looking to help fulfill and create better experiences there. So even more specific, this will include fulfillment by Amazon, as Tom mentioned. A big part is that Amazon has figured out is that customers like fast free shipping, they like fast free returns, and those things can be extended directly to customers on any non-Amazon site. That's the vision, that's the North Star. And what that will look like is, again, being currently evaluated. And finally, there will be a merchant console that if you choose to use it, right? That's the key. If you choose to use your merchant console, it will be there for you to manage catalog, inventory, orders, and again, these things are being evaluated, nothing's set in stone yet, but it will be able to be another tool in your tool belt that if it makes sense for you, for your business, and what you care about, you'll be able to use it and deploy it at scale. So Buy with Prime is going to really enable this level of extensibility, speed in a way that we're really excited about, and we're really excited to show you some examples.
Awesome. So we want to jump into a few examples. And again, the goal of this section is to kind of get the imagination juices flowing and talk about what this could look like. So we're going to go through a series of examples, getting a little more creative. But y'all are more creative than us, and we're excited to see what you build with Buy with Prime in the future. We just want to kind of kickstart the gears thinking in the back of your head. So start off simple, going back to our static website from early on. We want to provide this storefront. How can Buy with Prime help us enable that? So if we look at our architecture, pretty straightforward. We're going to put our static assets into that S3 bucket. Metadata about our store, orders, and whatnot will go into Dynamo. But that application layer will interact with the Buy with Prime APIs to empower order creation, order management, shipping, fulfillment available through API, and then directed to our users, whether it be through our web client on mobile, because there's no apps, or just on the browser. But Buy with Prime plugs in. It's interchangeable. You can pick which parts of it you use, or you can replace it all together. But Buy with Prime will empower that for your storefront.
Now let's pretend like our customers really care about chatbots. They want to be able to text something, buy socks directly from a chatbot. I don't know if that applies. Maybe I have a sock seller here. Come meet me after. I'm really curious. But let's say that we really want to provide a sock bot chatbot. We can do that with Buy with Prime. So using, again, we'll dive into the services in a minute, but using these services that are provided by AWS, we can integrate with Buy with Prime APIs, and in return create and craft experiences for customers where they can see what's in stock, when is it going to get there, and they can buy it directly from the chatbot. So you can get really creative, again, with these types of experiences that will take your e-commerce store into the future. Now, I do want to just provide a caveat. You want to focus on what do your customers want, those experiences. A chatbot is great, but if your customers don't want that, please don't do it. But with headless, it's possible, right? So if we look at how this is possible, in a similar way, we're storing static assets in S3, fronted by CloudFront, because we like speed. Our APIs will be backed by Cognito for authentication, and then all of the API will be going directly through the Amazon Lex engine that will eventually front a Lambda function that talks to our APIs, to the Buy with Prime APIs, in order to get all of these sentiment analysis that we were just talking about. Is it in stock? How much is it? And when is it going to get here? Answer those key customer questions that will all be possible with the Buy with Prime APIs. And I will say, we're purposely not going in deep here. We're trying to show you what's possible. If you are interested in Amazon Lex, there are plenty of sessions, more people that are more expert in it than I, and I would encourage you to seek those people out.
So finally, getting just a little more creative and the possibility of what if. Talk about the potential of AR or VR applications in the e-commerce landscape. So with Buy with Prime APIs, we could theoretically build an AR application to allow customers to virtually try on our socks. Put on the headset, we'll build the models of our socks, have them pull it on and see how it looks in real life so that they can get that look and feel without having to come into a store. And then with the power of Buy with Prime, we can present info about the socks and allow them to buy the socks without ever taking their headset off. And so a hypothetical architecture for that, again, not getting into the weeds, there are a lot of ARVR, ML things and sessions for you to attend. But through the VR client, we can present and amplify application, connect that directly with Buy with Prime, and then get our AWS resources, the AI, the ML, VR assets stored in S3, delivered at the same time. So both of those things can come together to provide a shopping experience through a VR headset.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, hey, Steven, Tom, I don't do AR/VR. Why am I here right now? How do I get started with headless? I just don't even know where to start, right? Let's talk about that. Let's get into it, right? So it's great to talk about like what's possible, and I do think that it's valuable to see what's possible. But let's talk about how do you get started in headless services, whether you're a small merchant or maybe you're an enterprise looking to upgrade your architectures. So there's 3 ways to do that, or 3 steps, I should say. The first one, we want to identify experiences or options, we want to identify capabilities we want to add or we have a need for in our system. So we've talked a lot about content management or CMS platforms. Let's say as a company, I'm deciding, hey, I need a way to show all of my product detail pages in a fast, easy way with all of the content, and maybe I want to power a web page. I know we've been talking about apps, but let's say we want to power apps as well, and I need an easy way to do that, right? Identifying a key opportunity early on is really critical, and I would say start really small, right? If you're a big company or you're a small merchant, or maybe you're just starting your own dev blog, whatever it is, start really small, find one use case, and kind of start there. The next thing you want to do is start researching. So not only researching options that are available, and we'll get into some resources that will help you there, but also researching, what do I care about, right? Like, what do I care about as a company? What does my company value? Does it value speed? Does it value, maybe we have incredible amounts of data. We need a really cheap way to store a lot of data, right? Whatever it is, like research what's out there, what providers are there, maybe find 2 to 4, or also, I should say, and also, look at what you care about as a company and use both of those things to help you drive that decision forward. The last one I'll say is launch. And now this is kind of an iterative approach where you might launch something, you integrate with their APIs, and you decide, hey, that's not cool, I don't want to do that. Or maybe you start a small pilot program just with their back-end accelerators, whatever it is, different providers will provide you with different ways to test out your integrations. And so it's all about kind of iterating and say, okay, out of my 2 to 4 options, I'm going to start playing around with their APIs. Maybe I look at their documentation. Depending on how technical you are, it can get really specific. Maybe you just pass it over to development team and say, hey, check this out, get back to me, right? Having that launch mindset of we want to launch quickly, iterate fast, and get to the final solution is really where I would recommend. And now these 3 steps, I think, are a great way to get started in the headless technologies. And if you're looking for partners, AWS has a specific list of retail partners that some of which I have used in my time as a solutions architect here that I would definitely recommend checking out. These are retail providers that will provide a variety of services kind of across the landscape that you can take a look at and browse and see what makes sense for your business. So I'll leave this up for another 20 seconds or so just to make sure we'll have the QR. We also have a Q&A at the very end coming up. So if you miss it, don't worry, just ask us for this and we can send you. We'll also be in the hall later and I can give you this URL there as well. Let's move on.
Awesome. Before you hop on, we've talked about a lot of headless. There's a lot of providers. We've shown AWS as headless service providers. We've talked about Buy with Prime. There are a lot of partners even here at reInvent that are retail partners helping you build those experiences. Those are listed here, so please feel free to check them out. As for Buy with Prime, if you're interested in that, what's next? This QR code will take you to our waitlist. Like we said, in the future, we will be releasing that series of APIs for you to interact with and be able to build on top of Buy with Prime. There also is a waitlist for being able to install the button into a DTC right now. So click here to join this waitlist. We've also had a number of Buy with Prime sessions detailing how we built it and other things yesterday and some others following up today. So please search for those if you're interested in those as well.
And we'll be sending out more content related to Buy with Prime and how to integrate and headless services to this list as well. So if you're curious, please sign up.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm going to call on the Buy with Prime genius, Carlos, here to help us with any Q&A. And yeah, open for any questions.